Hey guys, welcome back, and we're taking a look at Blossom, the leader of the Powerpuff Girls, one of the coolest characters. My personal favorite is, I don't know, it's maybe Buttercup. Blossom's pretty cool, but a little too bossy for me, but hey, alright. And so, thing about Powerpuff Girls, they're really easy to draw, but they're also very hard to draw. And usually, I mean, if you try to draw them before, it's just that they're so simple, they're actually kind of complex. I mean, they're really simple shapes, but the thing is, with this, you really have to map out the character really well before you start drawing them. And that's why we're going to do this breakdown. And before we start drawing Blossom, like before, you know, when this show came out and I used to try to draw them, I'm like, oh man, I could never get them to look correct like they did on the show. It's because it's a lot, because they're so simple that you have to, you know, really make sure you hit everything on the, you know, on the nose when you're drawing them. All right, so let's go ahead and start off. And let's go ahead and take a look at her. And you know, they're really simple characters. They're great designs. They're great for animation, because when you're drawing animation, it's 24 frames per second, and that's 24 drawings for 1 second. Don't let that discourage you. I mean, it's pretty cool. It's really doable. I've done a few animations before in my past, and yeah, it's a lot of fun. So as you can see, she's basically just a big oval. And the trick of getting the Powerpuff Girls correct is you want to get their oval head shape down correct, because that's the problem where, you know, when you're drawing them and you're like, oh man, my character's not just looking correct, that's like one of the main issues. And then we're going to draw the line of action of Blossom right here. And it's just a straight line. She's kind of flying off to the sky. And that's how we map out our character so we can get those correct proportions. And then we can go down the middle, so we have that line, and we just go to halfway down that line. There we go, we go halfway down that line, and that's her body, and that's how we map out our body. And her body is basically a nice square. And when we do her legs, it's basically, and whenever their legs are kind of like in a bent motion, it's kind of like a pod, so it's kind of like almost like a bean. And then, so we have that square, and we can I use little circles to kind of like map out their feet and see where they are. And that's how I use that guideline. So I use a circle to find that correct motion. Correct. So we have that body mapped out. We have the head mapped out. So you can see it's basically a nice oval shape. We have that line, center line, and that center line is good for finding that hair. So we'll come over here, and we have to divide her head right at the top and kind of treat it like in a little circle, and that's how we find her hair right there. And we just, little triangles right there. And that center line, that's how we use her to find where her hair divides. And it makes it so everything is kind of like, you know, proportioned correctly. And then that bow, well, that's basically just some triangles. And a nice square right here, and we can always clean that up. And now here's the tricky part, the eyes. You just want to make sure they're big ovals, and you can draw the ovals in there. So I'm going to draw the ovals in a different color. So let's go ahead and pick some blue and draw the ovals. And a nice, see, so we have the ovals, and we have that center line kind of telling us, you know, where the eyes go and such like that. And then we'll draw another kind of big oval, and that's the secret of the Powerpuff Girls, is their eyes. Once you nail those, you nail the head and the eyes, you got the character down pretty much. And we can always use circles to find where their hands go. And then we just come over here. And her hair, you can even use a big circle too to like really get the proportion right on her hair, and see that. And then I come over here with the eraser, and look how easy it was to get her hair down right there just by using a giant circle. And a lot of times you don't think about drawing really basic shapes when you draw your favorite character, because they're always rendered. But good recommendation, if you ever go to, like, you know, you know, like a comic book convention or something like that, a lot of your artists will be there, and you can always ask them for a sketch, and you can see the creation process. So remember, when we're drawing the Powerpuff Girls, you want to make sure you get the head correct, and they're almost always the same, except like for the hair, you know, so that's how you can tell. Even if they're like in a profile, even if they're like in a silhouette, and a silhouette means all black and white, like just basically all blacked out like a shadow, and you can still tell the Powerpuff Girls apart because of their hair. So even the character breakdowns are still going to be just a little different, you know. So got the little circle, but you know, basically that's the shapes that you want to practice if you want to get really good at drawing the Powerpuff Girls. Drawing ovals, drawing circles, and just mapping out the characters before we even draw them. And that's pretty much it for our character breakdown of Blossom. In the next video, we're going to take all those little techniques that we learned about drawing Blossom, like, you know, mapping her out and everything like that, and use that for our drawing. And before we go, I want you to draw with your arms. You know, when you're drawing those circles, you know, draw more with your arms and your wrist, not with your fingers. Look at that, I dropped my pen. But yeah, I want you to draw, and it's easier to get that circle motion, because if you're drawing, I'm going to show you, like, this is what kind of happens if you draw with like your fingers. You don't really get that circle correct. But anyways, guys, I want to thank you very much for joining me in this breakdown, and let's go ahead and take these techniques and draw Blossom. Hey, what's up, guys? I almost forgot. I want you guys to send me your drawings. That's right. You can email me a copy or do it old school and just mail it to me, and I'll post it up in my office. And I'll even make a video with your drawing. And if you want me or any of my art friends to teach you how to draw your favorite character, send those requests to request@mahalo.com. All right, guys. Thanks for watching. Hey guys, what's going on? This is Ken from Mahalo.com, and we're doing a character breakdown of Boomer, one of the rowdy rough boys from the Powerpuff Girls. All right, now this is a great exercise to do before we draw him. You guys ready? I am. Let's do this. So let's get started. Like I said, every video, when we draw we want to draw with a nice motion with our hands, because the Powerpuff Girls and rowdy rough boys are made of lots of ovals and circles and squares, and it's more comfortable. Oh, not really when you're, you know, if you have an old habit of drawing like this, you know, but draw like this. You know, do that for me, because that's what my professors always told me, that I had to draw, you know, in a nice circle motion. So let's go ahead and get started. Well, let's look at Boomer. And Boomer's pretty much just like almost all the other Powerpuff characters, you know, with little differences. But we want to draw a nice oval right there. Look at that. You know, because I'm drawing it with my wrist and such. And then we're going to go ahead and find a line of action right there. And, well, we can find it a little better, because boom, there it is. And the line of action of his body, it's kind of a line right there. So we use that line of action, and we just draw basically a square right here. And we already mapped out his body. I usually draw circles, and I'll draw those in a different color. And in case you're wondering what program I'm using ArtRage for the iPad, but it's on the computers and all kind of other programs. You know, it's on you can use it on your laptop, Mac. It's a great program. It's inexpensive if you want to, like, you know, learn digital drawing and stuff like that. It's cheaper than Photoshop, and then if you like it, you can move up to Painter and Photoshop. So I use the circles to map out his arms, or his hands, where his hands are. So right there. And then we're going to go ahead and use this blue and show you how that works. Just see that? And look at that. And just by that, so I use that circle, and then we just come over here, and look, we just found that out. Boom. So, and then now that we have that head right there with that line of action, we can use that to find the hair right there. And you know, whenever you're drawing, you can always erase too. So don't worry about, you know, having those guidelines. And it's actually kind of cool. And a lot of times I usually draw with a pen, and it's kind of a lot of fun because it's really permanent, and you kind of really see what you're, you know, how your whole process came about when drawing the character. And you can always, you know, go over it with a Sharpie and just clean it up. But, you know, once you get really comfortable with your drawings, go ahead and you can move the pen. So we found that line. That's going to help us find where his hair is at. And, you know, just big giant ovals for the eyes. So even if they're all not showing, you can draw it. And then that looks kind of funny, but that's going to help you find where his eyes go. So we just got that, and boom, and then draw some more ovals. And don't be afraid to draw through the character as well, because that's going to always help you find out where where his eyes are and keep it in proportion. So say he's in this position, draw the hair here, and whoop, actually it goes all the way around like that. And then his eyes, you know, the Rowdy Rough Boys are never really happy. They're always kind of mad and tough. And he looks kind of sad here. He looks like a very sad Rowdy Rough Boy. Yep. And then, you know, we can just remember that square, and, you know, we can draw circles to find out. And look at this, he looks just kind of like, you know, but that's what you want to remember when drawing the characters. You just kind of remember those shapes. I know it looks kind of crazy, but yeah, that's what we want to do when we're, you know, drawing those characters and thinking about them. You know, when we're trying to make our own positions, remember those shapes, and that's going to help you big time when trying to draw the character in whatever position you want. It's just remembering those basic shapes, because a lot of times what we would try to do when I was a kid, I didn't see the character for the shapes, and I would just kind of trace around him, and, you know, wouldn't get the proportions right. So if we use those basic shapes and those squares and those circles, it really helps get your character, you know, drawn, you know, kind of correctly and kind of proportion, and then we can always clean up with an eraser and everything like that. So I want you to remember lots of circles. Remember your line of action. Your line of action helps you find, you know, the center of the body. It kind of helps you, you know, map out your character as well. Well, all right, guys, that's been pretty much it for our boomer breakdown. I want you to remember those simple shapes and what we talked about. Remember drawing with your wrist, and we're going to take those techniques in the next video where we draw boomers. So I just want you to practice drawing ovals and circles and everything like that before our next video, and really get in there and just kind of practice and practice. And in the next video, we're going to take all that information and we're going to draw a boomer. Hey, what's up, guys? I almost forgot. I want you guys to send me your drawings. That's right. You can email me a copy or do it old school and just mail it to me, and I'll post it up in my office. And I'll even make a video with your drawing. And if you want me or any of my art friends to teach you how to draw your favorite character, send those requests to request@mahalo.com. All right, guys. Thanks for watching.